Lena was tired of her own failed attempts at change. She had tried big resolutions with hope, new exercise routines, strict schedules, big promises for her finances. Each time she started strong, and each time, within a month, life got in the way. She missed a few days, and the all-or-nothing voice said, "You've blown it. Might as well give up." So, she stopped trying to change everything. Instead, Lena started with one tiny habit. Every night before sleep, she placed her phone in another room and read one page of a nourishing book. Just one page. Less than 5 minutes. She did it even on hard days. Slowly, her mind quieted. Her sleep deepened. That small success made her curious. Weeks later, she added a second tiny action, drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. She rebuilt her life through the steady power of 2 tiny daily actions that asked almost nothing, but gave everything that mattered. Most of us know this pattern all too well. We set these bold, beautiful goals for ourselves. We decide this is the year we will finally get healthy, or build the career we dream of, or create deeper connections with the people we love. We feel that rush of inspiration. We make plans. We buy what we need. We tell ourselves this time will be different. And for a little while, it is. We show up with everything we have. But then, the inevitable happens. A difficult week at work. A sick child. A wave of exhaustion that makes everything feel heavier. And because our goal was so big, so all-encompassing, missing a few steps feels like we've failed completely. The voice inside says, "See? You can't do this. Why even try?" So we stop. We go back to the familiar, and the cycle of hope and disappointment continues. It feels personal, like there's something wrong with you. But there isn't. The approach is what fails us, not our desire or our strength. The truth is, the all-or-nothing approach works against us. It asks our brains and bodies to do too much, too quickly. It ignores the simple fact that lasting change happens not through bursts of heroic effort, but through small actions we can actually sustain when life gets hard. Big dramatic resolutions often set us up to fail because they fight against how we are wired to grow, gradually, gently, one small step at a time. Think of it like this. A single drop of water seems powerless, but drop after drop, day after day, can carve a path through stone. Your habits work the same way. Small, consistent, unstoppable over time. What if there was another way? What if the success you long for in your health, your work, your relationships, your finances, and your inner peace didn't require you to become someone entirely new overnight? What if it asked only that you show up for yourself in small, consistent ways? That is the heart of this book. Micro habits. Tiny actions, repeated daily, that fit into the life you already have. They don't demand perfection. They don't require massive motivation. They simply invite you to begin where you are, with something so small, it feels almost too easy. And over time, these small choices compound into the massive, lasting transformation you've been seeking all along. The beauty is that you don't have to wait years to see the difference. You can feel it in small ways almost immediately. A little more energy, a little more calm, a little more confidence that you can trust yourself again. In the chapters ahead, we will explore together the gentle science of how tiny, consistent actions reshape your brain and your life in ways that feel almost surprising. You will learn how to start with habits so small that they remove every excuse. how to build them naturally into the rhythms you already follow each day, how to arrange your surroundings so they quietly encourage the best in you without constant willpower, how to see yourself in a new light where change feels like coming home rather than fighting yourself, and how to trust the quiet, powerful force of compounding, where small efforts, day after day, create results that one day make you pause and wonder how you got here. You'll see how each piece builds on the last, creating a foundation that supports you even when motivation fades, or life throws its inevitable challenges your way. This journey is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently in ways that honor the life you're living right now. I invite you to listen with an open heart and an active mind. Let these ideas settle in. Notice what resonates with you. By the time we reach the final chapter, I hope you will have chosen one small action to experiment with, something that feels right for your life today. You don't need to commit to it forever. You only need to try it and see what happens. Your future self is already being shaped by the choices you make in this moment. Every time you choose to care for yourself in a small way, you are casting a quiet vote for the person you are becoming. You are building something real, something lasting, something that belongs entirely to you. The life you want is not waiting for a perfect plan or a perfect time. It is waiting for you to begin gently today. Your future is not some distant destination. It is being built right now, in the quiet moments, when you choose to honor yourself with one small, kind action, one tiny habit at a time. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Understanding the Science of Micro Habits. Why small actions rewire your brain and behavior. Have you ever set out to change something important in your life, only to watch your best intentions fade within weeks? You start with such clarity and energy, and then life happens. The plan feels too heavy. Your motivation quietly slips away, and you find yourself back where you began, wondering what went wrong. You are not alone in this, and more importantly, it is not a flaw in you. It is often a flaw in the size of the change you tried to make. Let's look at how habits actually form in your brain. Every habit runs on a simple, repeating loop. There is a cue, something that signals your brain it is time to act. It might be the sound of your alarm, the sight of your phone on the nightstand, or the feeling of stress after a long day. Then comes the routine, the action itself. And finally, there is the reward, the feeling that tells your brain this loop was worth it and should be remembered. When you understand this loop, you stop fighting yourself. You start working with how your brain is already wired. The size of the routine inside that loop changes everything. When the routine is big and demanding, your brain sounds an alarm. It senses effort, risk, and possible failure. It pushes back because its first job is to conserve energy and protect you. That is why so many grand resolutions collapse. But when the routine is tiny, something that takes a minute or less, and feels almost too easy, the resistance drops away. Your brain thinks, I can do that. And it does. Day after day, the small size is not a weakness. It is the very thing that lets the habit take root. This is where the quiet power of small wins begins to show itself. Tiny actions lower your brain's natural resistance because they do not feel threatening. When you complete even a small action, your brain releases a gentle burst of dopamine. That little chemical messenger says, well done. That felt good. Let's remember this one. Over time, through simple repetition, your brain rewires itself. This is neuroplasticity at work. Think of it like tending a garden. You do not plant a seed and demand a full harvest the next morning. You water it a little each day. You give it light. You pull a few small weeds. Slowly, the roots grow deeper. The plant becomes stronger and more resilient. Your habits grow the same way. Each small repetition strengthens the neural pathway until the behavior becomes almost automatic. It stops feeling like something you have to force and starts feeling like something you simply do. There was a man named Marcus who had lived this struggle many times. He wanted more energy for his children and to feel proud of himself again. So he did what most of us are taught to do. He joined a gym with a year-long membership. He bought containers for healthy meal prep. He set his alarm for 5:30 every morning to work out before the day began. For the first 2 weeks, he felt unstoppable. Then life pushed back. A late night at the office, a child with a fever, a morning when getting out of bed felt impossible. The familiar voice inside said, "You've already missed days. What is the point?" Within a month, the gym card was sitting and used in a drawer. The healthy food was spoiling, and Marcus felt more discouraged than before. Next time, he tried something different. He stopped trying to become a completely new person overnight. Instead, he chose one tiny habit. Every evening, after he brushed his teeth, he would do 10 gentle squats while holding the bathroom counter for balance. That was all. 10 squats. Less than a minute. He did it even on the nights he felt tired or discouraged, even when it seemed too small to matter. Slowly, something inside him began to shift. He started to think, almost without noticing, "I am the kind of person who moves my body every day." That small piece of evidence gave him the courage to add another tiny action a few weeks later, drinking a full glass of water before his morning coffee. Nothing dramatic, but these small actions began to add up. His energy lifted. He found himself more patient with his children because he was not running on empty. He began taking short walks during his lunch break. 6 months later, Marcus had lost weight and felt like himself again. Not because he had forced a dramatic transformation, but because he had built a new identity through tiny daily proofs that he could follow through on his own intentions. He had changed the quiet story he told himself about who he was. When you try to make big, dramatic changes, several forces work against you at once. Decision fatigue sets in because large plans require so many choices every single day. Your motivation, which feels powerful at the start, naturally rises and falls with your energy and circumstances. And perhaps most quietly damaging of all, there is an identity mismatch. You have not yet proven to yourself that you are the kind of person who lives this new way. So, when obstacles appear, it is easy to slip back into the old story you already believe about yourself. Micro habits succeed because they quietly bypass these traps. They require almost no decision-making. They do not depend on motivation that comes and goes. And from the very first day, they begin to reshape your identity in the most powerful way possible. Each time you complete a tiny action, you are collecting undeniable evidence. You are proving to yourself, in the simplest and most repeatable way, "I am the kind of person who follows through." This is not about the size of the habit itself. It is about the daily message you send to your own heart and mind. Over time, that message becomes your new foundation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop needing perfect conditions. You simply begin to trust yourself again. This is why the idea of getting just 1% better every day carries such quiet power. It sounds almost too small to notice, but the results are anything but small. Imagine you improve one tiny thing by 1% each day. It could be reading one more page, taking one deeper breath when stress rises, or choosing one slightly better option at a meal. At first, the difference is invisible, but if you keep showing up for that 1% edge day after day, the compounding effect becomes extraordinary. Over the course of a year, you would not be just a little better. The mathematics of consistent small improvement shows you would be many times better than when you started. It is like compound interest, working quietly in your favor, except the growth appears in your energy, your confidence, your relationships, and your sense of self. Think of a small snowball at the top of a hill. Each turn gathers a little more snow. It grows larger and moves faster with every rotation. Your micro habits work the same way. Each small action adds to the momentum. Over time, the change feels almost inevitable. When you prove to yourself daily, through these tiny actions, that you are the kind of person who follows through, something profound begins to happen inside you. The doubt grows quieter. The old story loses its grip. You no longer have to convince yourself with big declarations or dramatic restarts. The evidence is right there, in the ordinary moments you chose to honor. I am someone who shows up for myself. That belief becomes self-reinforcing. It becomes the soil in which every other goal you hold can finally take root and grow. Your brain and your behavior are not fixed. They are designed to respond to small, consistent actions repeated over time. The size of the action is not a limitation. It is the very doorway that makes real and lasting transformation possible. When you start small, you give yourself permission to begin without the weight of perfection. And beginning, repeated gently, is where all meaningful change takes hold. Here is a gentle challenge as we close this chapter. I invite you to pause right now and notice one small action you already do consistently in your life. It might be making your bed each morning, filling your water glass before you leave the house, or taking a single deep breath before you open your email. It does not have to be impressive. It only has to be something you do without needing to think about it. Recognize the power you already possess. That quiet consistency is proof that you already know how to build habits that last. You do not have to start from nothing. You already have the capacity. Now you can choose, with intention, where to point it next. Chapter 2. The Power of Starting Tiny. Designing habits you can't fail to do. What if the reason so many habits never take hold has nothing to do with your willpower and everything to do with the size of the first step? You have probably felt it. The moment you imagine a big new routine, something inside you tightens. Your brain starts listing all the reasons it will be hard. That resistance is not laziness. It is protection. Your brain is trying to save energy and avoid failure. However, you can work with this protection instead of fighting it. You can design habits so small and easy that your brain has almost no reason to say no. The core principle is this: make the habit so tiny that it becomes easier to do than to skip. When the action feels almost laughably small, resistance loses its grip. Your brain stops preparing for battle and simply lets the habit in. This is not about lowering your standards. It is about removing the barriers that keep you from beginning at all. Once the habit has a place in your day, it can grow naturally from there. But the first step must be small enough to succeed even on your hardest days. Let's see what this looks like in real life. In health, The big version might sound like, I will work out for 45 minutes 5 days a week. The tiny version becomes, after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will put on my shoes and step outside for 30 seconds. In productivity, the big version is, I will organize my entire desk and create a perfect weekly plan. The tiny version is, after I sit down at my desk, I will open one document or write the first line of my most important task. In learning, the big version is, I will read an entire chapter every night before bed. The tiny version is, after I pour my evening tea, I will open the book and read one paragraph. In relationships, the big version is, I will have long, meaningful conversations every single day. The tiny version is, after I finish lunch, I will send one short message of appreciation to someone I care about. Do you see the difference? The big versions ask for a lot of energy and perfect conditions. The tiny versions ask almost nothing, yet still point in the direction you want to go. To create any micro habit, there is a simple 3-step process you can follow. First, clarify the deeper outcome you truly want. Not just the surface behavior, but the feeling or result underneath it. You might say you want to exercise, but what you really want is more energy to play with your children or to feel steady and strong in your body. When you connect to that deeper why, the small action carries more meaning. Second, shrink the behavior until it feels almost too easy. Ask yourself, what is the smallest version of this that I would still be willing to do, even on my worst day? If the answer still feels like a stretch, shrink it again. Third, attach it to a strong existing anchor. An anchor is something you already do reliably every day without thinking, like brushing your teeth, making coffee, sitting at your desk, or walking through your front door after work. The anchor gives the new habit a natural home in your day. It removes the need to remember or find motivation. The habit rides on something that is already steady. There was a woman named Sophia who carried the weight of constant stress. She was a mother and a professional, and she longed for more calm and patience in her days. She had tried big solutions before. She bought meditation apps and promised herself 30 minutes of yoga every morning. She lasted a few days, then the pressure of the full routine made her avoid it altogether. One ordinary morning, something small shifted. While her coffee was brewing, she decided to do just one thing. She would stand still, hold her mug with both hands, and take 3 slow, deep breaths. The whole practice took less than 45 seconds. She attached it to the moment the coffee finished brewing, something she did every single morning. At first, it felt almost silly, but she did it anyway, and she celebrated quietly each time by placing one hand on her heart and whispering, "This moment is for me." Within a few weeks, those 3 breaths became the calmest part of her morning. She started noticing she was less reactive with her children. Her shoulders stayed softer during work calls. Months later, the 3 breaths had naturally grown into 5 minutes of quiet sitting. Sophia had not forced a meditation practice into her life. She had let it grow from a habit so small that it could not fail. That tiny doorway had opened into the calmer, more present version of herself she had been seeking. When you complete even a tiny habit, something important happens if you pause to celebrate. Celebration is not optional. It is how you wire the habit into your nervous system and reinforce the identity you are building. Immediate celebration tells your brain that this action was good and worth repeating. You can make it physical, like a small fist pump, a genuine smile, or a deep, satisfying breath. You can make it verbal, saying softly or out loud, "I showed up today," or "This is me, taking care of myself." The celebration does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be immediate and sincere. Without it, the brain may not register the win strongly enough, especially when the habit is still new. With it, every small action becomes evidence that you are the kind of person who follows through. You are not just performing a behavior. You are collecting proof about who you are becoming. Here are some ready-to-use micro habits you can begin today. For hydration, after you wake up and before you do anything else, drink 1 full glass of water. Celebrate by placing your hand on your belly and saying, "My body is cared for today." For starting focused work, after you sit at your desk or open your laptop, write 1 sentence about your top priority. Celebrate with a small smile and the words, "One step taken." For building knowledge, after you pour your morning coffee or tea, read 1 paragraph of something nourishing. Celebrate by saying, "I am becoming wiser today." For connection, after you brush your teeth in the evening, send 1 short appreciative message to someone you love. Celebrate by putting your hand over your heart and thinking, "I reached out with care." For gentle movement, after you brush your teeth in the morning, do 5 slow squats or arm stretches. Celebrate with the words, "My body is waking up with me." For inner calm, after you close your car door or before you begin a task, take 3 slow breaths. Celebrate by whispering, "I am here. I am steady." You might wonder whether starting this small can possibly matter. It feels almost too insignificant to count. Yet, this is exactly why it works so well. Big attempts often stay in the planning stage because they feel too heavy to begin. Tiny ones create the first link in the chain. They build the muscle of consistency. They give you daily evidence that you can trust yourself. That trust becomes momentum. And momentum, once it starts rolling, is difficult to stop. The small start is not the finish line. It is the doorway. Every great transformation you admire began with someone choosing to do something almost too easy on a day when they did not feel ready. You are no different. You simply need a place to begin that your brain will accept. Each time you complete one of these tiny habits and celebrate, you are not only wiring a new behavior, you are quietly rewriting the story you tell yourself. You are becoming someone who honors small commitments to your own well-being. That someone is capable of far more than you have yet imagined. The power is not in the size of the action. The power is in the fact that you actually do it, day after day, and let it grow from there. Your future self is already being shaped by these small, faithful choices you make right now. Chapter 3: Habit Stacking and Anchoring. Integrating micro habits into your daily rhythm. Have you ever noticed that your days already contain certain actions you perform without needing to decide or remember? You wake up and your hand reaches for something. You finish a meal and your body moves in a familiar way. These moments are not empty. They are quiet anchors already present in your life. Habit stacking is the gentle art of attaching a new micro habit to one of these existing anchors, so the new behavior rides on something that is already steady and reliable. The formula is simple and powerful. After you perform the existing strong habit, you perform the new micro habit. This removes the need to create motivation from nothing. The existing habit becomes the cue. It carries the new action forward the way one train car pulls the next. You are not starting from zero. You are linking something small and new to something that already happens every day. When you connect several of these links together, you can create short, natural chains or sequences that feel more like a gentle ritual than a list of tasks. Think of it like laying stepping stones across a stream. Each stone is small enough to step on without effort. Together, they carry you from one side to the other. You might build a short morning chain that takes only a few minutes, yet sets a calmer tone for everything that follows. Or a workday transition stack that helps you move from scattered energy into focused presence. Or an evening sequence that signals to your whole system that the day is softening. These chains do not need to be long or complicated. In fact, the simpler and more repeatable they are, the more deeply they become part of your rhythm. You can strengthen this approach even further with implementation intentions. These are clear if-then plans you make ahead of time. For example, if it is morning and I have just finished brushing my teeth, then I will drink 1 glass of water. If I walk through my front door after work, then I will put my keys in the same place and take 3 slow breaths before I do anything else. The power of these statements lies in the preparation. Your brain rehearses the connection in advance. When the moment arrives, the action is already decided. You spend less energy remembering or convincing yourself. The plan is waiting quietly for you. Let me offer some rich, specific examples across different areas of life, so you can see how this feels in practice. For health and energy, you might create this short stack. After I put my feet on the floor in the morning, I will drink 1 full glass of water. After I finish that glass, I will do 5 gentle stretches or body movements, while the kettle boils or the coffee brews. This chain wakes your body, brings hydration, and adds movement before the day begins to pull in other directions. For deep work and focus, try anchoring to the moment you arrive at your workspace. For example, after I sit down at my desk and open my laptop, I will spend 2 minutes writing my top 3 priorities in a simple list. After I finish that list, I will close my email or messaging apps for the first 20 minutes of focused work. This stack moves you from reactive beginnings into intentional presence without requiring a dramatic shift in your environment. For relationships and connection, you could build this evening link. After I finish dinner and place my plate in the sink or dishwasher, I will ask one person at the table a simple, open question about their day. After that question, I will put my phone in another room for the next hour. These small connections turn an ordinary meal into a moment of real presence and warmth. For learning and growth, attach something nourishing to a daily ritual you already love. For example, after I pour my morning coffee or tea, I will read 1 page or listen to 60 seconds of something that expands my thinking. After I finish that small input, I will write or speak 1 sentence about what stood out to me. This turns a quiet moment into steady, almost effortless growth. For evening wind down, you might design this gentle sequence. After I turn off the main lights in the living room or bedroom, I will take 3 slow, deep breaths while standing still. After those breaths, I will place my phone on its charger outside the bedroom and pick up a physical book or journal for a few minutes before sleep. This chain signals to your nervous system that the day is closing and prepares your body and mind for rest. To discover your own strongest anchor habits, become a kind observer of the life you are already living. For 1 or 2 days, Simply notice what you do without having to think or decide. What is the very first action your body takes after you wake up? What do you reach for or do right after brushing your teeth? What happens the moment you walk through your front door after being away? What do you do when you sit down at your desk or finish eating a meal? These are your anchors. They are already reliable. They do not require extra effort to remember. When you notice them clearly, you can begin to use them as the steady ground on which new micro-habits can grow. There was a woman named Sarah who felt her days were a constant rush from one demand to the next. She wanted more calm, better energy, and a sense that she was caring for herself instead of just surviving. She had tried adding new practices before, but they always felt like extra weight on an already full schedule. One quiet evening, she decided to look at what she already did without fail. She made coffee every morning. She walked through her front door after work. She brushed her teeth before bed. So, she chose 3 of these anchors and attached one tiny new habit to each. After making coffee, she would stand by the window and take 3 slow breaths while it brewed. After walking through her front door, she would put her bag down, take off her shoes, and write one thing she was grateful for on a small piece of paper by the door. After brushing her teeth at night, she would place her phone on the charger in the hallway and read one page of a book that nourished her before turning out the light. At first, these additions felt almost invisible, but within a few weeks, something beautiful began to happen. Her mornings started with a moment of stillness instead of immediate motion. Coming home became a small ritual of release rather than another task. Evenings carried a gentle signal that the day was complete. Lena had not added hours to her schedule. She had woven 3 small threads into the fabric of what she was already doing every day. Those threads became a quiet daily ritual that supported the calmer, more grounded version of herself she had been longing to feel. It is easy to feel excited and want to build many new stacks at once. You see all the possibilities and imagine transforming several areas of your life immediately. Yet, this is often where good intentions quietly unravel. When you add too many new habits at the same time, even tiny ones, you can create subtle overwhelm. Your brain begins to experience decision fatigue again. The very system meant to make change easier starts to feel complicated. The wiser approach is to begin with just 1 or 2 stacks. Let them settle and become automatic. Give them time to feel natural and effortless. Once they are woven into your rhythm, you can add another link or another short chain. Think of it like preparing a garden. You do not turn over every bed and plant every seed on the first day. You prepare one small area, plant a few things with care, water them, and watch them take root. Then you move to the next area. This patience is not slow progress. It is the way real integration happens, so the changes stay with you for years instead of weeks. As we close this chapter, I invite you into a simple and meaningful challenge. Take a few quiet moments today or tomorrow and identify your 3 strongest existing anchors. These are the actions that already happen in your day with almost no effort or decision. Write them down if that helps you see them clearly. Then, for each one, attach one small micro habit that points towards something you truly value. It might be health, focus, connection, learning, or rest. Keep it tiny. Keep it kind. Say it in the stacking form. This is how you begin to turn the ordinary rhythm of your days into a quiet architecture that supports the life you want to live. You are not forcing new habits into a busy schedule. You are letting them grow from the steady ground that is already beneath your feet. And that makes all the difference in whether they take root and flourish. Chapter 4: Environment Design for Automatic Wins, Making Good Habits Inevitable. Have you ever noticed how some days you seem to make good choices without much effort, while on other days everything feels like a struggle? Often, the difference has little to do with how motivated you feel and everything to do with the spaces you move through. Your environment quietly shapes your behavior more than most people realize. When the space around you is designed to support the small actions you want, those actions begin to happen almost on their own. When the space works against you, even strong intentions can fade. This is the quiet power of environment design. It turns good micro habits into the path of least resistance. Design beats discipline because it removes the need to fight yourself every single day. The goal is simple: make the habits you want obvious, easy, and attractive. At the same time, make the habits you want to reduce invisible, difficult, or unattractive. When a cue for a positive micro habit sits right in front of you, you are far more likely to act on it. When friction is low, your brain does not have to work hard to begin. When the action feels pleasant or even beautiful, you naturally lean toward it. On the other side, when something unhelpful is hidden or requires extra steps, the pull weakens. When it feels inconvenient or slightly unpleasant, your brain often chooses something easier instead. You are not relying on willpower in the moment. You are shaping the moment itself. Let's explore how this works in the actual spaces where you live and move. In the kitchen, place a beautiful glass or water bottle on the counter where you will see it first thing. Fill it the night before, so the next step is simply to drink. Keep a bowl of fresh fruit at eye level on the counter, while moving less nourishing snacks into a high cabinet or another room entirely. In your workspace, leave a small notebook or card with your top priority written on it in the center of the desk. Keep your phone in a drawer or in another room during focused hours. Place a single inspiring image or quote where your eyes naturally rest when you pause. In the bedroom, put the book you want to read on your pillow or nightstand so it greets you when you are ready to rest. Move the phone charger to the hallway or another room so charging becomes a deliberate choice rather than an automatic scroll. Lay out the clothes you want to wear or the shoes you want to walk in the night before, turning the morning into a smoother path toward movement or calm. In your car, keep a water bottle in the cup holder and cue a short, nourishing audio or podcast, so the drive itself becomes a small opportunity for learning or presence. Even your phone can be redesigned. Move the apps that support your micro habits to the home screen and place distracting ones in a folder on a second page or in grayscale so they lose some of their pull. There was a man named Harold who had tried for years to drink more water, move his body, and read before sleep. He would begin each week with strong intentions, only to watch them dissolve by Wednesday. His kitchen had no visible water bottle. His living room held the television remote in the most obvious spot. His phone charger sat on his nightstand, right beside his bed. One weekend, he decided to stop trying harder and instead change the spaces he moved through. He bought a simple glass carafe and placed it on the kitchen counter with a single lemon beside it. He moved the remote into a drawer and left a pair of walking shoes by the front door. He moved his phone charger to the hallway and placed a book on his pillow. At first, these changes felt almost too small to notice, but within 2 weeks, something shifted. He reached for water without thinking because it was right there. He began taking short walks after dinner because his shoes were already waiting. He read a few pages most nights because the book greeted him when he turned down the covers. 6 months later, Harold looked back and realized he had not needed more motivation. He had needed a kitchen, a doorway, and a bedroom that quietly supported the person he wanted to become. His environment had done what willpower alone never could. It had made the small actions feel natural instead of forced. You can begin this kind of redesign with a simple environment audit. That takes just one afternoon. Walk slowly through the main spaces where you spend your time. Notice what you reach for without thinking. Notice what feels easy and what feels like an extra step. Ask yourself what behaviors these spaces are currently encouraging and what they are making harder. Then, choose one area at a time and ask a clearer question. What micro habit do I want to make more obvious here? What small change would lower the friction for that habit? What object or arrangement would make an unhelpful behavior slightly less convenient? You do not need to overhaul everything. One thoughtful tweak in each space often creates surprising momentum. The audit is not about perfection. It is about honest observation, followed by one gentle adjustment. Many of the most powerful environment changes are one-time actions that then support you every single day without further effort. Buying a water bottle you actually enjoy looking at and keeping it visible turns hydration into something automatic rather than something you must remember. Moving your phone charger to another room creates ongoing friction that protects your sleep and your evenings. Preparing your clothes, your water, or your notebook the night before removes morning decisions and makes the desired action feel like the natural next step. These small investments of time and attention pay dividends for months and years because they change the default path your day takes. You are no longer starting from zero each morning. The environment is already doing part of the work for you. As we close this chapter, I invite you into a simple and immediate challenge. Choose one space in your life right now. It might be your kitchen counter, your desk, your nightstand, or even the seat of your car. Make one small change today that makes a desired micro habit more obvious or easier. Place something visible. Remove something that creates friction. Shift one object so the path you want becomes slightly more downhill. You do not need to do everything. You only need to begin with one space and one thoughtful adjustment. When you change the environment, you change what becomes easy. And when good micro habits become easy, they begin to happen almost on their own. Your future self will thank you for the quiet architecture you build today. Chapter 5: Building Resilience and Consistency. Mastering your mindset for long-term adherence. Motivation is a beautiful but unreliable companion. It arrives with energy and excitement, then quietly slips away when life grows heavy or ordinary. You have probably felt this before. You begin with strong resolve, only to watch that fire dim after a difficult week or a restless night. This is not a personal failing. It is simply how motivation works. It rises and falls with your energy, your circumstances, and your mood. What carries you through the long arc of real change is not the feeling of motivation. It is the steadiness of systems you can rely on and the quiet strength of an identity you are building one small action at a time. Identity-based habits work differently from outcome-based ones. When you chase only outcomes, you tie your worth to results that can feel far away. When you focus on becoming the kind of person who does these small things, Every action becomes evidence of who you already are. You are not waiting to become disciplined someday. You are practicing being someone who shows up for yourself in small, consistent ways right now. The identity grows alongside the actions. Over time, the two become inseparable. You will miss days. Resistance will rise. There will be mornings when you do not feel like it, and evenings when you simply forget. This is part of any real journey, not a sign that you are doing it wrong. The key is to meet these moments without the harsh judgment that often makes them worse. One simple practice is never miss twice. If you skip a day, return the very next day without drama or delay. The 2-minute rule can help when resistance feels strong. If the habit feels too big at the moment, shrink it to something you can do in 2 minutes or less. Do that tiny version and celebrate it. You have kept the chain alive. You have protected the identity you are building. These are not loopholes. They are compassionate systems that keep you moving when perfection would stop you cold. Setbacks are not verdicts on your character or your potential. They are data. When you miss a day or feel resistance rise, you can pause and ask what the moment is trying to show you. Were you overtired? Was the anchor habit you attached it to weaker than you thought? Did life throw something unexpected in your path? Gathering this information without self-criticism helps you adjust the system rather than abandon it. You are not starting over from zero each time. You are learning how to make the path a little more reliable for the person you are becoming. There was a woman named Maria who had lived through seasons of deep inconsistency. After a period of intense burnout and a major health challenge, she felt like a stranger to herself. She had tried dramatic resets before. She would commit to long morning routines and strict schedules, only to collapse under the weight of them within weeks. Each failure left her more convinced that she simply lacked the discipline others seemed to have. One difficult winter, she decided to stop trying to become someone new and instead began with the smallest possible actions. She started with 1 glass of water after she woke up. Some days, she managed it. Some days she did not. When she missed, she simply drank the water the next morning without commentary. Weeks later, she added 30 seconds of standing and breathing while the kettle boiled. Again, she missed days. Again, she returned without judgment. Slowly, these small actions became proof that she could keep a promise to herself, even on hard days. Over many months, the water and the breath became a short morning ritual that gave her a sense of ground. Her energy lifted. Her self-trust grew. She began to see herself as someone who could return gently, rather than someone who always started strong and then disappeared. The micro habits had not just changed her mornings. They had quietly rebuilt her belief that she was capable of showing up for her own life, one small, imperfect day at a time. Micro habits themselves become powerful tools for building self-trust and inner resilience. Each time you complete even a tiny action, you make a small deposit in the account of your own reliability. Over weeks and months, these deposits add up. You begin to feel, in your body and your mind, that you are someone who follows through on small intentions. That feeling becomes a quiet source of strength when bigger challenges arrive. You do not have to manufacture confidence from nothing. The evidence is already there in the days you showed up for yourself when it would have been easier to skip. This is how resilience grows, not through grand declarations, but through the steady accumulation of small proofs that you can count on yourself. Common inner obstacles often dissolve in the presence of tiny actions. Perfectionism loses its power when the habit is so small that perfect execution is almost irrelevant. All or nothing thinking softens when you give yourself permission to do the 2-minute version instead of nothing at all. Fear of slow progress quiets when you remember that small daily actions compound in ways that feel almost surprising over time. The very size that once seemed insignificant becomes the feature that lets you keep going when larger efforts would have collapsed. Tiny actions do not demand that you be different tomorrow. They only ask that you be present with yourself today. The most important truth about consistency is this: it is not about never falling. It is about how quickly and kindly you return when you do. Every person who has built something lasting has days when the habit did not happen. The difference is not in the absence of those days. It is in the way they meet them. You can meet a missed day with harshness that makes the next day even harder. Or you can meet it with the same gentle steadiness you were trying to build in the first place. You can say, "I missed yesterday. I returned today." That simple return is itself a micro-habit of resilience. It is the action that protects every other action you are trying to grow. Your future self is not waiting for a perfect streak. Your future self is waiting for the person who keeps coming back with kindness, one small action at a time. That is the consistency that actually lasts. That is the mindset that turns tiny habits into a life you can trust. Chapter 6: The Compounding Miracle: Tracking, Scaling, and Accelerating Your Transformation. Have you ever looked back at a period in your life and wondered how so much changed without you noticing the exact moment it happened? That quiet surprise is the signature of compounding. Small actions, repeated with gentleness and consistency, create results that feel almost miraculous when you pause to see them. The changes do not arrive with fanfare. They arrive the way a tree grows or a river carves stone. One day, you simply realize the landscape of your life looks different. This final chapter is about understanding that miracle and learning how to work with it intentionally, so your micro habits keep expanding their reach across every area that matters to you. Tracking can support this process when it stays light and sustainable. The purpose is not to create another obligation. It is to create gentle awareness and a quiet sense of progress that fuels motivation without becoming a burden. When you see your small actions adding up, even in the simplest form, your brain registers the wins and wants to continue. The key is to keep the method so easy that it never competes with the habits themselves. Some people use a simple paper tally or a check mark in a notebook each evening. Others keep a single note on their phone where they type one word or a quick "yes" for each habit completed. A few choose a minimal habit tracking app that requires only a tap. Whatever method you choose, it should feel like a helpful companion rather than a demanding supervisor. If tracking ever begins to feel heavy, simplify it or set it aside for a while. The habits matter more than the record of them. Once a micro habit has become truly automatic, you can begin to scale it up in small, safe increments. The signal that it is ready is the absence of resistance. When you no longer have to convince yourself to do the action, you have built a strong enough foundation to grow. Scaling too early can reintroduce the friction you worked so hard to remove. Scaling too late can leave the habit feeling too small to create meaningful change. A gentle approach is to increase the difficulty or duration by roughly 10 to 20% at a time. If you have been drinking 1 glass of water first thing in the morning, you might move to 2 glasses. If your evening stretch lasted 2 minutes, you might extend it to 3 or 4. Always listen to your body and your energy. The new version should still feel manageable on most days. If it begins to feel like a stretch again, pause and let the current level settle deeper before adding more. This patient growth keeps the habit rooted while allowing it to become more powerful over time. Regular micro-reviews help you stay connected to the system you are building. Once a week, give yourself 5 to 10 quiet minutes to reflect. You might ask a few simple questions. What felt easy this week? What created friction? Did any habit begin to slip? And what might help it stay steady? Is there one small adjustment that would make the system even more supportive? These short reflections are not about judgment. They are about curiosity and care. You are checking in with the garden you are tending, rather than waiting for the plants to wither before noticing something needs attention. Over months, these weekly pauses become one of the most valuable practices in your entire system, because they keep your habits alive and responsive to the life you are actually living. The real wonder of micro-habits reveals itself in the ripple effects that spread across time and across areas of life you never intended to touch. At 6 months, many people notice steadier energy, clearer mornings, and a quiet confidence that comes from keeping small promises to themselves. At 12 months, those changes often deepen into visible shifts in health, focus, and relationships. Sleep improves because evenings are calmer. Work feels more manageable because mornings begin with intention. Connections with loved ones grow warmer because there is more presence to offer. By 24 months, the transformation often feels profound. You are not simply doing more small things. You are operating from a different baseline. Decisions feel easier. Setbacks are met with greater resilience. Opportunities appear because you have the energy and clarity to notice and pursue them. The compounding is not linear. It is expansive. One small habit in one area quietly strengthens the soil for growth in many others. There was a man named Theo who began with 2 very ordinary micro-habits during a season when everything felt heavy. Each morning, after he put his feet on the floor, he drank 1 full glass of water. Each evening, before turning out the light, he wrote 1 sentence about something that had gone well that day. He did not expect these actions to change much. He simply wanted to feel a little steadier. Within a few months, he noticed his energy was more consistent. He began taking short walks after lunch because he felt less sluggish. Those walks gave him unexpected time to think, and ideas for a project at work began to surface. He shared one of those ideas with a colleague, which led to a new responsibility he had not sought. At home, the evening sentence of gratitude made him more aware of small moments with his children. He started asking them 1 gentle question at dinner, and conversations that had felt rushed became warmer. 2 years later, Theo looked back and realized that the glass of water and the gratitude sentence had not just supported his health and mindset. They had quietly contributed to a promotion, deeper family connections, and a sense of possibility he had not felt in years. The ripples had traveled farther than he could have imagined from 2 tiny daily actions. This is the long game of micro-habits. They are not primarily about doing more. They are about becoming someone who naturally operates at a higher level, because the small actions have rewired how you move through ordinary days. The person who drinks the water, writes the sentence, takes the breath, or clears the single item from the desk is not the same person who began. Identity has shifted. Self-trust has grown. The nervous system has learned that small, consistent care is safe and rewarding. From this new baseline, bigger opportunities and deeper changes become possible without the dramatic effort that once felt necessary. When micro habits become part of who you are, the future opens in ways that are both surprising and deeply satisfying. You wake up with a quiet sense that you are already on your own side. You move through challenges with more steadiness because you have practiced returning to yourself in small ways every day. Your relationships carry more warmth because you have more presence to bring. Your work and creativity flow more freely because your energy and focus have been tended like a garden. You do not need to chase transformation anymore. You simply continue the gentle practices that have already begun to transform you. The compounding miracle keeps unfolding, often in directions you could not have planned. All that is required is the willingness to keep showing up for the smallest version of what matters, and to trust that the ripples will keep widening. Your future self is not some distant stranger waiting at the end of a long road. Your future self is being shaped right now by the quiet, faithful choices you make in the spaces of your ordinary days. Keep tending them with care. The life that emerges will be more beautiful than you can yet imagine. Conclusion: you have traveled through the quiet science of how small actions rewire the brain. The gentle art of starting so tiny that failure becomes almost impossible. The simple power of linking new habits to the ones you already trust. The wisdom of shaping your spaces so good choices become the easiest ones. The resilience that grows when you meet missed days with kindness instead of judgment. And the astonishing mathematics of compounding that turns ordinary consistency into extraordinary transformation. At the heart of it all lies one simple truth. Tiny habits are the most reliable path to massive, sustainable success because they work with your brain and your life instead of fighting against them. They ask very little from you each day, and yet, over time, they return everything that matters. The real transformation was never only about the habits themselves. It was always about the person you become by doing them consistently. Each small action is a quiet vote for the identity you are growing into. You are not simply drinking more water, or reading one page, or taking 3 breaths. You are becoming someone who shows up for yourself, even when motivation is low. You are becoming someone who trusts your own small promises. You are becoming someone whose ordinary days quietly accumulate into a life of greater energy, clarity, connection, and peace. That shift in who you are is the true legacy these practices leave behind. This is not a 30-day challenge or a temporary program. It is a lifelong way of moving through the world. The habits may grow and change as your life does. Some seasons will ask for more simplicity. Other seasons will invite gentle expansion. What remains steady is the underlying practice of honoring yourself with small, consistent care. You do not need perfect conditions or perfect motivation. You only need the willingness to begin again each day with whatever small action feels right for the life you are living right now. Perfectionism will sometimes whisper that you should wait until everything feels easier or until you have more time or more energy. That voice is not your friend. It keeps you from the very actions that would create the ease and energy you long for. The conditions will never be perfectly ready. Your life will always contain some resistance, some fatigue, some unexpected interruptions. The power lies in beginning anyway, in the smallest way possible, and letting the practice itself reshape the conditions around you over time. There was a man named Samuel who lived this way for decades without ever calling it a system. Each morning, he stepped outside for a short walk, no matter the weather, simply because it helped him feel present before the day began. Each evening, he wrote one line in a small notebook about something he had noticed or appreciated. He kept a glass of water by his chair and drank it before he sat down to read. These were not dramatic rituals. They were quiet anchors he returned to, year after year. When he reached his later decades, people often asked him the secret to his steady energy, his warm relationships, and the calm wisdom he carried. He would smile and say he had simply kept showing up for small things. The morning walks had kept his body moving and his mind clear through many seasons of change. The evening lines had become a record of a life filled with ordinary beauty he might otherwise have forgotten. The water had become a daily reminder that caring for himself was not selfish, but necessary. Over time, these small practices had woven themselves into the fabric of who he was. They had not only supported his health and clarity, they had made him the kind of person others naturally turned to for steady presence and quiet encouragement. His legacy was not in any single achievement. It lived in the way he had moved through ordinary days with gentle faithfulness for so many years. You can begin building that same kind of legacy today. Choose one micro habit from everything we have explored together. It might be the simplest one that resonated most deeply with you. Right after you finish listening to these words, take the first small step. Drink the glass of water. Write the single sentence. Take the 3 breaths. Place the book on your pillow. Move the phone charger. Whatever you choose, let it be the first brick in the quiet architecture of your own transformation. Do not wait for tomorrow or for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one that exists right now when you decide to begin. Carry the spirit of micro habits into every corner of your life. Let it shape how you begin your mornings, how you move through your work, how you connect with the people you love, and how you close your days. You do not need to announce what you are doing. You simply live it. Over time, the way you move through the world becomes its own quiet inspiration to others. People may notice the steadiness in your presence, the clarity in your choices, or the warmth you bring to ordinary moments. They may not know the small practices behind it. They will simply feel the difference that comes from someone who has learned to honor themselves consistently in small ways. The legacy you are building is already taking shape in the choices you make from this day forward. Every time you return to a small habit after missing a day, you strengthen the muscle of gentle resilience. Every time you celebrate a tiny win, you reinforce the identity of someone who shows up for their own life. Every time you let a micro habit compound across weeks and months and years, you are creating a future self who will look back with gratitude at the quiet faithfulness you practiced when no one was watching. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself through the steady accumulation of small, kind actions. The life that emerges will be one of deeper peace, greater capacity, and quiet confidence that you can trust yourself to keep showing up. Begin today. Keep returning with kindness. The legacy is already yours to shape, one small, faithful step at a time.